Hi, and welcome to LinkedIn Studio at Cannes. I'm Heather Freeland, LinkedIn's Chief Brand Officer, and I am thrilled to be here today with three incredible creators. So right now, something is shifting in marketing, and it has nothing to do with AI. It has everything to do with people. And it's about the voices we follow, we trust, and we learn from every day. And one of the most exciting things about it is that right now we've got young creators doing incredible things on LinkedIn. And they're reinventing the way we learn, the way we learn to trust, and what we are inspired by. And so I'm excited to meet these three creators and to have you join us today and learn from them just as I have. So let's start out. I'm going to ask you each to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you create for, and what you create. And I'm going to start with Damarian.
Yes, I'm Damarian Benton. I'm the founder of the PR Habitat, which is a career development and education brand helping more young people break into the comms industry. And I've been creating since 2024, so a couple of years in the game, and also am working full-time for Starbucks advertising.
So hi, I'm Jade Walters. I'm a career and lifestyle creator based in Chicago, Illinois. I'm also the founder of the Ninth Semester, an early career resources platform aimed at helping Gen Z design their dream career. My work is really centered around helping Gen Z make that transition from college to career, especially first-gen early career professionals. I'm also a TEDx speaker where I talked about how to take complete ownership of your early career, really inspiring Gen Z to know that they don't have to wait to a certain point in their career or their collegiate journey to get started with their professional pursuits.
Amazing.
Hi, I'm Jolene Dolnay. I am a creator and I'm a founder. I've been creating for about 6 years now. Time really has flown by. I talk about opportunity, ambition, and how to really pave your own way. I'm also the founder of the Postgrad Playbook. So it's an online media and community focused on helping people navigate life after college, financially, professionally, socially, all the things. Think about when you entered college, there was orientation, but when you left, you're left to your own devices, right? So we help bridge that gap and partner with brands too who want to share those resources.
Amazing. I mean, already so inspired by each of you and what you're building. Now, talk to us, though, about what responsibility comes with being a creator and being a voice to the next generation and generations above you.
Yeah, I can start there. I feel like with LinkedIn too, and I was first starting to create, I had so much first impressions, of starting full time, thinking through of introductions to brands that especially being into, I started out in B2B. So learning about tech brands and startups, it was so many first impressions. I think I hold that responsibility as well. Just being a voice to speak to the early career experience, as well as also this new creator landscape as being a creatorpreneur and wanting to build a nonprofit. I've had so many inquiries of how I started building this and helping people on their journey. So every post is kind of this first impression, and that responsibility comes with thinking through that I don't need to have all the answers, but I need to be transparent in my experience. So I look at it like that.
I love that. And that authenticity really comes through and goes such a long way towards connecting with your audience. It's amazing.
And
Jade,
I definitely agree with Damarian when it comes to that transparency space, because I think when you're navigating your early career, there's all these misconceptions about what corporate life is like, and especially post-pandemic, it has completely changed. A lot of students who are going into the workspace, they've never worked in an office before. They've only known online work from home work. So for me, I'm in that weird space where I started content creating under the ninth semester after I graduated in 2021. So I had that mixture of both in-person experience, but a lot of my career when I was in corporate was online. So being honest about what that may look like. And now there's that freedom of, okay, you can start a personal brand. Your career doesn't only start and stop in your 9 to 5. A lot of career opportunities can come from being honest about the trials and tribulations of how you got to where you're at. So really leaning on that transparency has been key.
Love it.
I think there's a huge responsibility when it comes to having a platform online and being transparent. Specifically, we talked a little bit about the pandemic. People felt so isolated from each other that I think that when people come online, they want to feel seen and known and heard. And I think when it comes to having a public platform, sharing those experiences transparently helps other people and helps you bring a strong community. But also, you have to be so careful and meticulous about what you say. When I was in college, I was a tour guide. So I was speaking to people from all around the world, and what I would tell them would influence their lifelong decisions and where they ended up going to school. And maybe that was 30 people, 100 people at a time, right? If I make one post, like, you never know how that post can circulate. There's a huge amount of responsibility. And so, yeah, I definitely feel that, and making sure that I'm transparent, doing my research, and doing good by the world. I feel like maybe y'all feel that too.
I'm sure. Well, it's so interesting because in this age where creators are having more and more of a voice for brands, one of the things that's interesting for me as a marketer is there are certain things you all can say to our audience that I can't, right? And I think you bring a certain credibility with your voice. So I'm curious to hear what you see as, what are the things you feel like you can say to a Gen Z audience that like a brand like LinkedIn can't? And I'm just curious to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I look at a lot of what brands say as, what they want us to believe, right?
Yeah.
And I think for us, and just talking about that, like that responsibility, it's so much trust that comes within that. And, we're saying what it actually is a lot of the time, right? And that comes with that transparency and the behind the scenes of a lot of this work. And I would say within what a brand is saying, we're kind of that authenticator, getting the chance to show what, behind the scenes of a campaign, or thinking through if they do work with us and bring a message forward to their consumers. It really comes through with a, creator's lens of what connects with their audience. And especially thinking about me and the PR Habitat and our brand, it's really centered on ensuring that at the end of the day that more young people are breaking in, and that's through more clarity and, how can we build more access in these, even with Jolene's brand, like building these gaps that can help close what people don't understand about the industry. So I would say within what brands can say, it's really helping to build that clarity of what their brand stands for, and the creators can really bring that forward. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In a really meaningful way, too.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. So my work in trade by trade is employer branding. So specifically helping early talent teams hire and attract Gen Z. And sometimes when they're trying to attract this talent, they have the C-suite and the VIPs like hyping up the internships and the programs. And there's that disconnect because, if at that point in your career, it's been a while since you've done an internship. So the students, they want to hear from people who are entry-level or junior-level employees. So I love seeing organizations where they have those behind the scenes of a day in the life of like a junior-level employee at their company, or entry-level. Like, it kind of like breaks that entry to see, okay, like I can actually see myself. Like, this is someone who they're not too far removed from college. They're doing work that I want to do. So I think when brands incorporate more of their entry level and junior level talent in terms of like, okay, let's market for our roles, it gets people excited because it's like, I can see myself in this person versus a CEO who will probably still tell you like, hey, just how about you call them up if you send a job application and no one replies. So
I love that. Jolene, what
I
about
think
you?
there's so much we can say that brands can't say. So for background, I have a background in B2B sales, and I started posting on LinkedIn because my CEO would tell us, guys, like post on LinkedIn because that's going to increase our brand presence. And when we started posting on LinkedIn, we posted as ourselves. We posted in our own authentic voices, and we posted what we knew our truth to be. And it wasn't even truly about the company. So thinking about that separation between me as an individual at that time versus me as a company, I started getting so many inbound leads just from being myself. And then also thinking about it from a salesperson, a founder, and someone who runs the post-grad playbook, everything that you're creating is from a standpoint of creating opportunity from yourself. So it's like when you're thinking about what are the best tools to use, right? I can use X, Y, Z. Like there's a whole toolkit you can put together that brands can't necessarily say like, hey, we really endorse X, Y, and Z. Like I said earlier, people want to feel seen, known, heard, and like their experience can be validated. So I think that that's something an individual creator can show up and do very, very well and share from their experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Can I add a bell to that?
Yeah, please.
I really love this idea too, as far as one, I think we touched on two things, like UGC, and then thinking user-generated content, and then thinking with employee-generated content, it's so important that brands see the potential of that. I don't know if you guys seen that trend. Like I think being an early career expert, you'll see a lot of these POVs of what interns should be doing. If you're early in career, what to look for, and they're saying right now that interns shouldn't be doing these day in life videos. There's a lot of confidentiality issues with that, but you see a crave to understand, what does that look like before you're entering this full-time role, and that's where I think for us. And I really want to introduce in here too is there's this new consumer that I think is being undervalued, and that's us in this room. The people that are working and kind of this behind the scenes factor, and you're having to win us over as well. And I was talking with another prominent creator on LinkedIn, Morgan Young. Got to give her a shout out. We talked about it at the Forbes conference and thinking through of B2BP, which is a business to business professional, and how for us it's so important to understand that we're consumers as well. And for brands, it's this is another aspect of another consumer to consider when you're building your target audiences, because there's another layer to winning us over.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
One of the things I always say is that B2B is you're not marketing to a business, you're still marketing to a person,
Exactly.
to an individual, and they resonate with the same stories that we do as consumers. And so why not tell real human stories to those people in a vein to connect with them? And so I think it's really important to remember that for sure.
Yeah, showing up as your actual voice, not a talking head.
Yes.
Like the tie. I've heard someone say that when you're showing up online to drop the tie.
Yeah.
Just show up as yourself. When people always ask me, like, how do I post on LinkedIn? I'm like, how would you talk to me right now? Does this sound like something I would say? Then I'm not writing it, because people can always tell when it's AI generated content too. Like, we'll probably get into that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. And from like the sales perspective too, people want to buy from people. They don't want to buy from businesses.
Exactly. Okay, so just to flip the script for a second, I said I was not going to talk about AI today, but I'm going to talk about AI today.
Sorry, I brought it up.
So why don't we start with you,
Okay.
which is, I know you guys are all creating, but how has AI changed the way you create today?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. One thing about the postgrad playbook is for a long time we were very blog heavy and we were very SEO focused. And I noticed that since there's such a rise in AI, people are still focusing on SEO, but they're now focusing on AEO, like AI and engine optimization. And I was actually surveying my community and seeing how people were liking their jobs. And someone said that they were in a traditionally creative role, but now it pretty much got scrubbed, and all their company's blogs are all really towards ranking on AI. So I feel like it's changed between that sense and like how I get found, right? If someone's Gen Z and the people are using AI, it's here to stay. But if they're searching AI, saying like, where do I go for career resources? I want the postgrad playbook name to come up, right?
Yeah.
TR Habitat in ninth semester, you want these names to come up. So it's thinking about that from an online perspective, but then also within my own personal content, I feel like it's really interesting because when you go online, you can instantly tell when something's created by AI, and you can swipe, whether it's an image, whether it's that M dash, even though I know how to use an M dash correctly, right?
Yes.
But you can tell when something's created with AI. I think sometimes it's really great as a thought partner, like how can I expand on this idea, but never the end all be all. But what do y'all think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think with AI, it's kind of helped with connecting the dots. Like sometimes I've trained my chat to, understand my brand and understand my community. And there have been times where I've surveyed my community and, helping me organize, okay, what were the top common asked questions in this survey? What were those common themes? And then from there, breaking it even further of understanding, okay, how can we create it for content? And I think especially with the AI tools, people are asking these same career questions. So it's going to come back in my end and I can know, okay, these are some of the common things that they're looking for. Let me make sure that when I make a post or make a LinkedIn post or a video, I have these keywords in my caption or in my title. So it comes up because I know that they're already searching it. And I agree. I think we are in a space where it is very evident when someone is using AI. So it is really finding more ways of like, okay, what is that unique perspective that my brand can give?
Yes.
Like, I think what I really like with my tool is like, when it gives me ideas, it tells me, okay, this is something that is a good ninth semester point of view. And then it's funny because it's actually something that I already thought of. So it was like, I know that me and my tool were synced together, but I think just understanding of like, let's bring in more humanity into it. Like, even if it's like, like a FaceTime, like a lot of people, when they have like that talking head, they call it a FaceTime. It's like, let's chat through some of those common questions that you're asking those tools, or some of those common questions that you've shared in a survey.
Love that.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are amazing. I would say thinking through of my target audience and understanding like their pain points has really been how I'm leveraging AI. With the Pure Habitat, knowing we want to break in more young people into comms, it's making sure they're equipped to use AI ethically.
Yeah.
And for us, it's so important to call out, who are creating these, and making sure that you're respecting your own perspectives and your identity, as well as when we're thinking through of how it shows up in media. I'll never let people forget that, there was a trend on, social platforms of, the monkeys with bonnets that were created through AI systems, and perpetuating racist stereotypes, and that's so important to call out in real time. And I think for us, we're ensuring that a lot of that AI use is dawned upon, and that we're making sure that they use it properly. And I would say for myself as a creator, because that's the difference, like a target audience aspect of my nonprofit, but then as a creator myself, I look at it to really respect just my thoughts, and dropping the ties. So that's so good, because you're creating AI, creating content, and you want to use AI to make your content more efficient and getting more volume out, but you'll start to see the patterns of repetitiveness come through these prompts, and making sure that as you see their responses that you're kind of airing, redlining as much as you can to ensure that your tone and your voice still comes through, because that's really what makes the content so great on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let me close us out with a quick lightning round. So I'm curious, what do you think makes LinkedIn different than other platforms? And what do you think brands should know about connecting with the Gen Z audience? So Jolene, I'll start with you.
I think what makes LinkedIn different is you can show up as a leader and show up with your expertise, whereas I feel like other platforms, it is very entertainment focused, and LinkedIn is people are entertained by content as well, but you can show like, hey, this is, as a creator, this is how I'm running my business. This is how I think about my marketing plan. This is how I'm connecting with my community in X way. Like, these are my thoughts and my ideas, and that's what's really runs wild on the platform in a very good way. And I feel like when I post on LinkedIn, I get pitched for opportunities because of my ideas and because of my brain. And I think that's what makes it completely different. And even now with y'all's new creator monetization tool, since brands can find thought leaders that isn't specifically, it's not always based on following size, but it's based off their expertise. Yeah. And I really do love that, because you can be like, okay, this is a vetted expert from this area, and we're gonna pay them X amount to promote this tool, and then we have their stamp of approval, right? Where I don't know if a lot of other platforms are taking the same approach. So I think that's what makes it a little bit different. And sorry, the second part of the question.
What would you tell people to think about when connecting with Gen Z audiences on LinkedIn?
Just be a person.
Yeah.
Just be a person. Have fun. I think that's the thing. People don't really bring as much joy in campaigns anymore.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that when we're living in such a really tumultuous time right now, things are always happening. I think if you can bring joy and energy into campaigns in a way that connects meaningfully without the marketing jargon, to use that word authentically that we all use, right? Yes. And you can find a way to do that, and consulting Gen Z, like actually have us at the table, like I have a lot of thoughts, let them run wild, right? And that's what I would say.
I love it. Quick responses from you guys?
Yes. I think what makes LinkedIn different is just this willingness to connect. Like, there's no weird hierarchy. Like, you can send a connection request to a CEO or a VP, and they'll respond and reply. And I think that, especially in this day and age, like, people are craving community. Mm-hmm. Like, I follow and connect people that I genuinely am interested in their story, and I want to connect with them. And I think one way that brands can get better with, connecting with Gen Z is, like Jolene says, like, talk to Gen Z. Yeah. I feel like from conversation I've seen, CEOs and the C-suites, they're curious about Gen Z. They have all these questions, all these theories, but it's like they're kind of afraid to have that conversation. And it's like, I think when they think of Gen Z, they kind of think of Gen Alpha, which is like the middle school and the high schools and the toilets, skibbity reads, all that. But it's like, we're adults, like we're working adults, we're in the offices with you. And it's like, you can pick our brains and have our conversation. It's like, make it more of a, don't be afraid to approach us, because we're waiting for someone to ask our thoughts and our opinions. And I think just knowing that it's an open door. I think it would help a lot, especially when you're dealing with especially when you're dealing with a mixed group of
Yes.
generations
Yes.
in the workplace.
Perfect. Great. You want to close us out?
Yeah, I think what makes LinkedIn different is the people. The amount of students, young professionals, even leaders, I'm always amazed when a leader is telling me they're inspired by me. I'm like, me? I'm just starting out. But I love this look for or seek for learning, constantly learning, and that's always through a creator. And I would say for brands wanting to understand Gen Z a little bit better is, understand that community is a competitive edge, right? Like
Yeah.
looking at all of our platforms, it's kind of stemmed from a community lens, like a community insight, and having the opportunity to not only kind of understand the Gen Z consumer is really kind of bringing them in the table, but I think working with them, and having the chance to see these communities in real time, kind of bring your message forward. And I would say that's the biggest thing. And as well as any brands out there that are kind of a little lost of what Gen Z represents. It's not really us just chasing trends. I think that's that Gen Alpha mixture of they just love a random trend. But I think I'm always inspired by my generation just due to the fact that we are chasing a value that we stand for. And LinkedIn's a big proponent of that.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I've learned so much from each of you, and I always end these conversations feeling like the future is bright with you all leading the way. So thank you so much, and thank you all.